16-year-old Olivia Martin's bedroom remained exactly as she left it. Her mother, Diana, couldn't bring herself to change a thing. The purple bedspread Olivia had begged for on her 15th birthday, the Polaroid photos covering her corkboard, the worn copy of The Catcher in the Rye on her nightstand, bookmark still holding her place on page 183, a place she'd never returned to finish. For Diana Martin, these weren't just remnants of a life cut short. They were pieces of a puzzle that the police seemed to have given up on solving. But mothers don't give up. They can't. Especially when they know who killed their child but can't prove it. Every morning, Diana would sit on Olivia's bed, breathing in the fading scent of her daughter's favorite lavender shampoo, and promise her that she would find justice, no matter how long it took. It began in the summer 2023 when Olivia's second cousin Marcus moved in with his family just 3 blocks away. At first, Diana had been relieved. Olivia had been struggling to make friends after their move from Boston, and Marcus was only 2 years older. They shared the same taste in music. Both played guitar, and soon enough, Olivia's laughter could be heard drifting through the house again. Diana remembered watching them practice together in the garage, Olivia's fingers dancing across the strings as Marcus taught her the chords to her favorite songs. Those memories now haunted her, knowing how Marcus had used those innocent moments to slowly weave his web. But something changed in late August. Olivia became withdrawn. She stopped wearing the band t-shirts she used to love, opting instead for baggy sweatshirts even in the August heat. Her phone, once constantly chiming with notifications, would make her flinch when it buzzed. Olivia started making excuses to skip family gatherings where Marcus would be present. She began taking different routes to school, claiming she enjoyed the extra walking time. Diana noticed, but chalked it up to teenage mood swings. It wasn't until she found Olivia crying in the bathroom one night that the first warning bells really started ringing. "He won't leave me alone, Mom," Olivia had whispered, her voice breaking. "Marcus, he says we're meant to be together. That being cousins doesn't matter. That I'm leading him on by being nice to him." Diana had done what any mother would do. She called Marcus's parents, demanding they keep him away. They agreed and seemed horrified. But Marcus had other plans. The text messages kept coming from new numbers. He would appear outside Olivia's school, claiming he was just in the neighborhood. Diana filed for a restraining order, but the court date was still weeks away when Olivia disappeared. October 12th, 2023, a Thursday. The air had turned crisp, leaves crunching under feet as students hurried home from school. Olivia had texted that she was staying late at school for chemistry tutoring. Diana had made her favorite dinner, chicken parmesan, and kept it warm in the oven. By 7 p.m., the food had gone cold, and Diana's mother's intuition was screaming that something was wrong. By midnight, the entire North Caldwell Police Department was searching the area. They found Olivia's backpack in Thompson Park, her chemistry textbook still inside. But Olivia was gone. The next 4 days were a blur of search parties, news cameras, and countless cups of coffee that couldn't wash away the taste of fear. Diana barely slept, jumping at every phone call and every knock at the door. She walked the streets until her feet bled, calling Olivia's name until her voice gave out. On the 4th day, as the autumn sun cast long shadows through the trees, a jogger discovered Sarah's body in the woods behind the high school. The police called it a tragedy and launched an investigation. They questioned Marcus, of course, but his parents provided an alibi. He'd been at a college prep course in Newark at the time of Olivia's disappearance. Diana watched as the detectives nodded, accepting the story too easily, moving on too quickly. The case grew cold within weeks, just another file in a cabinet of unsolved mysteries. But Diana knew better. She'd seen the look in Marcus's eyes at the funeral. Not grief, not shock, but something else. Something that made her skin crawl. While the police moved on to other cases, Diana began her own investigation. She created a detailed timeline, marking every interaction between Olivia and Marcus in the months leading up to the murder. She reached out to Olivia's classmates, gathering information the police had overlooked. Most importantly, she hired a private investigator to dig into Marcus's alibi. The breakthrough came 3 months later. Diana's investigator discovered that while Marcus had indeed enrolled in the college prep course, he'd stopped attending 2 weeks before Olivia's murder. His parents, busy with their careers, hadn't noticed he wasn't actually going to class. The alibi that had satisfied the police was built on a lie. But Diana needed more. She began monitoring Marcus's social media accounts, noting how he'd created shrine-like collections of Olivia's photos. Then came the discovery that broke the case wide open. While going through Olivia's room for the 100th time, Diana noticed something odd about her daughter's favorite stuffed animal, a worn panda she'd had since childhood. Inside, she found a burner phone, its memory filled with hundreds of threatening messages from numbers she could now trace back to Marcus. Messages that showed the full evolution of his obsession, from infatuation to possession to rage. The most damning evidence came from Olivia herself. In a password-protected digital diary Diana finally managed to access, Olivia had documented everything: the escalating harassment, the stalking, the increasingly violent threats when she rejected his advances. The final entry was dated the morning of her murder. He says if he can't have me, no one will. Maybe if I meet him one last time, I can make him understand. Make this stop. Diana took everything to the police, but they remained skeptical. Without direct evidence linking Marcus to the crime scene, they said their hands were tied. That's when Diana decided to set a trap. She created a social media account posing as a 16-year-old girl who'd recently moved to the area. Knowing Marcus's patterns, she knew it wouldn't take long for him to notice. Within days, he made contact. Over the next 2 weeks, Diana documented how Marcus followed the same grooming patterns he'd used with Olivia. When he began suggesting they meet in person, Diana knew she had him. Working with her private investigator, she arranged a meeting at Thompson Park, the same location where Olivia's backpack had been found. But when Marcus arrived, instead of finding a teenage girl, he found himself surrounded by police officers. Diana had finally convinced one detective to take a closer look at the case, and the evidence of Marcus's predatory behavior toward what he thought was another minor was enough to bring him in. Under questioning, Marcus's carefully constructed facade began to crack. The detective noticed inconsistencies in his story, details that didn't add up. Finally, faced with the mountain of evidence Diana had accumulated, Marcus broke down and confessed. The truth was even more horrifying than Diana had imagined. Marcus had become obsessed with Olivia shortly after moving to North Caldwell. When she rejected his advances and threatened to expose his behavior to the entire family, he snapped. He'd followed her after school and convinced her to talk with him one last time. When she tried to leave, he'd strangled her with her own scarf, the one Diana had given her for Christmas the year before. Marcus was charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison, without the possibility of parole. Diana's meticulous investigation had succeeded where law enforcement had failed, but the victory felt hollow. No conviction could bring Olivia back. Olivia's room remains unchanged, but it's no longer just a shrine to loss. It's a reminder that a mother's love can move mountains, solve mysteries, and sometimes, even when it's too late to save their own child, help save others. The purple bedspread is fading now. The Polaroids have lost some of their color. But on page 183 of The Catcher in the Rye, Olivia's bookmark remains. Diana sometimes sits there, running her fingers over the worn pages, and imagines all the stories her daughter never got to finish. All the dreams that died in those woods behind the school. But she knows that Olivia would be proud, because sometimes justice doesn't wear a badge. Sometimes it looks like a mother who refuses to give up, armed with nothing but love, determination, and the unshakable knowledge that the truth, no matter how deeply buried, deserves to be found. For Diana Martin, that truth came at an unimaginable cost. But in bringing her daughter's killer to justice, she ensured that Olivia's story wouldn't end in those woods. It would end with justice, with truth, and with a mother's love that proved stronger than death itself.